Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. Hopefully all the technology is working appropriately. We've got some people, let's see, we've got maybe 20 or so people remotely. Oh, we're up to 38. Perfect. So hopefully everybody can hear us. I'm Molly Duplachain, Executive Director for Excise and Licenses. It's very exciting to have everybody or some people back here in person, and I see a lot of new faces, which is also very exciting. And then we also have, our remote folks. So happy to have you all here too, and maybe we'll see you all in person sometime soon too. So I know I've worked with some of you over the last couple of years, and then I've been in this role since January, officially nominated or confirmed by City Council in March, but just wanted to reintroduce myself. Thank you. I don't need applause. But I just wanted to reintroduce myself and just restate some of the kind of core goals and values that we have here in Excise and Licenses. And, I took over the role from Ashley Kilroy. She was a long-time director for Office of Marijuana Policy and then the executive director for Excise and Licenses. And I've just been working hard to maintain all the momentum that she built up over the first, 7-8 years of commercialized sales here in Denver. And so I just wanted to reiterate our commitment to working with the industry, working with our social equity licensees, gathering your input and feedback is always very important to us. We want to be a partner, work together in this space, help you make sure that you're in compliance with rules and regulations, because that's the best way to have a successful, thriving business is to make sure you're following the rules and on the right path. And so just reiterating that commitment to working with you. And also, as we've talked about over the last several, at least especially the last year, the last couple of years, working with our social equity applicants, expanding access into the industry. If anybody happened to watch the mayor's State of the City yesterday, you heard him talk a lot about that, about equity and justice and how that all relates to the economy. So one quote that I just wanted to mention out of his State of the City address yesterday was, he said, "We must ensure that our city encourages investments and sees our business community not as an adversary, but as a partner. And we must remain forward thinking and visionary." So again, that's something that we try to do here in Excise and Licenses, and a commitment that we have. So we're committed to delivering on that commitment and that always includes the cannabis industry too. We definitely see the cannabis industry as vital to our economy and our community, and our workforce here in Denver. We've appreciated the close partnerships that we've had with all of you and will have with some of you new folks going forward. And we want to continue to find ways to work together and help your businesses thrive. So today we have a couple of updates for you that the team are going to be going over, and many thanks to Erica and Abby and Shannon for pulling the agenda together today and working through some of the technology details, which are never easy. And so I'm gonna first hand it over to Erica. And many of you probably know her, and her face probably hopefully looks familiar. She was previously in Excise and Licenses as a policy analyst, but then left us for a little bit and went to the city attorneys, but we got her back, and now she's serving as a policy director. So I will definitely stick around and be here the whole time, and we'll have some questions, time for questions at the end.
All right, thank you, Molly. I'm gonna see if I can get to the next slide. So as Molly mentioned, I'm Erica Rogers. I'm the policy director here in Excise and Licenses. I'm gonna start with the agenda and some housekeeping. So first I want to introduce the rest of our team. So we've got Abby Borchers, who is our marijuana policy analyst, and we've got Shannon Donnelly, who is our cannabis process navigator. So Shannon, do you wanna maybe just tell folks a little bit about why you're in the role, what you do, and for those of you for those in the audience who haven't already met you, just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Shannon Donnelly. I'm taking over the role from Joey Pena, I know I have some big shoes to fill. He's great. But my experience really comes from the last about decade of working in the Colorado cannabis industry. I've worked with small operators and large operators to kind of help them take that next level of growth in their business. And that's actually why the city brought me in here, to help our social equity applicants really navigate the city process and make a thriving, successful business. So one of the things that I'm focusing on is doing pre-application meetings for all of our applicants. So if you, after this, I'll give you my card and we can kind of talk about either opportunities that you're looking for or not navigating the process through cannabis in the Denver City County.
Thanks, Shannon. And for those of you who maybe this is your first industry check-in or it's your first one in a while, the Cannabis Process Navigator is actually a role that came from the audience at a marijuana industry check-in. So it was something that the industry asked for and the mayor implemented in 2019 when our first Cannabis Process Navigator was hired. So we're super excited to continue that role, continue that work, and continue to provide that liaison from the city to our applicants. So some housekeeping, the agenda and the slides will be over on the screen. There will be time for questions and comments at the end. If you have a lot of comments and feedback, our email is marijuanainfo@denvergov.org. If you are an applicant or a potential applicant and you have specific questions about your application or submitting an application, throw those over to excelapplications@denvergov.org. That way we can get your question answered properly more quickly. If you do have a question that you want to ask today, if you're in the audience, you can just raise your hand at the end when we get the time. If you are online, you can use the raise hand feature, or you can drop it in the Q&A box and we will read those out loud and give you those answers. Over on the table, there's a sign-in. If you're not already receiving our marijuana informational bulletins, you can sign up to receive those and you'll get those in your inbox. We've also got some Know the Law cards. I know it's been a while since you might have seen those. If you want to take those for your business, your dispensary, feel free to take a handful. We have a ton. If we run out and you need some, we have more. But those are free for you to take for your offices. All right, with that, we will get started on the general updates. So number one is that we are super excited to announce that our annual report for last year is out. It is on our website. We sent out a bulletin announcing it. It's online, so take a look at that. It has some really key information about data from all different parts of the industry last year. Super helpful. We do publish that every year. So big shout out to our communications team for getting that out so that it would be ready for today. Our second general update is dealing with application information. One thing that you may have seen if you've submitted an application in the last 6 months or so is that there is an option to fill out demographic info as part of the application. So we just wanted to touch on that briefly so that you all know what that's used for. That demographic information is not used to determine whether your application is, approved or denied. It has nothing to do with that decision-making process. It's more for us to collect that data to be able to show what our industry in Denver looks like. So it is optional, but we do encourage you all to fill it out so that we can include that type of information in our annual report so that if we are seeing demographic changes, we want to be able to know that. And if we're not, we also want to be able to know that too. So please fill that out. We would love to see what our industry looks like. Third, and I'll put a slide up for this one. There's been a change department-wide here regarding lawful presence verification. So just an overview, many years ago, the state adopted a law requiring all local jurisdictions to collect proof of lawful presence for any type of business application. Last year in 2021, the state legislature repealed that requirement for across the state. So how that looks here in excise and licenses is that previously all of our applicants had to submit an affidavit of lawful presence with their applications. That is no longer required. So that applies to marijuana licenses, but it also applies to any other business license here in the city. In addition, we also have expanded our acceptable forms of identification list. So if you come in to apply for a license, you have to show a photo ID that says, I am who I say I am. So when we grant you the license, it goes to the right person. Now that that state law has been changed, we're able to accept a few more types of identification. Those are all listed on our website. Now, I will say some licenses have specific identification requirements that may be different than these general rules. marijuana industry, for example, being one that the state may require additional information. So always make sure you're looking at those state requirements as well. But we wanted to make everyone aware that across the board in excise and licenses, no one will have to submit that affidavit of lawful presence anymore. All right, so that's it for me. I would love to kick it over next to our wonderful partner, Sarah Woodson, who is the selected vendor for an RFP that we put out for a technical assistance program. So we're really excited to partner with her, and I will let her introduce herself.
Great. How's everyone feeling? Good. I just want to first start by acknowledging the diversity in this room today. I remember when we first started, there were 4 people of color that constantly showed up. So this right here lets me know that social equity is picking up and we have the momentum that we need. Here we go. So my name is Sarah Woodson. I'm the executive director of the Color of Cannabis. The organization has been around for 3 years. Prior to any policy, state policy, city policy, I started a 10-week educational course. And the reason I started the course was because I was at Marijuana Industry Group. And while I was at MIG, it became very evident to me that there were no people of color that were in that room making any decisions to make sure that we had a more diverse industry. So social equity started to be a buzzword. People started to talk about it more. I was like, I can really make a difference. I have the skill set. I have the legal background. I can do this. And so we started the 10-week course. It's been a blessing to partner with EXL throughout the entire process. And now we've been selected as the single vendor for this new social equity business accelerator through DITO. So I'm gonna, yeah. And you know, the fact that we were selected really just validated and solidified all the hard work that we've been doing. I want to talk about the program a little, make sure that I thank the partners that have been helping us from the very beginning, because we have the best of the best helping with this course. So do I just press to get started?
So you can use the mouse, or you can use the trackpad just to click that arrow.
Okay, perfect. So I kind of talked about that. Basically, we're found on 3 principles. One is education. We have had over 60 graduates in the past for the 10-week course. Second, we really focus on citizen lobbying, advocating. That's really important. If you're not in politics, you're just not in pot. And then third, we have a partnership with Vicente Cedarburg, where we do ongoing expungement services for marijuana convictions only. Okay. So what are we going to be doing in this 10-week course? Basically all the things we always wanted to do. This program is funded through $500,000 of marijuana tax money through the city. And so now the Color of Cannabis has a full staff, which I see all my staff in here today. We're going to be focusing on education. So currently we're doing a 10-week course. It's every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The course has already, the application's closed and we've already selected for the first round. But the goal for the city is to make sure that we touch 100 applicants. So we're not telling anyone no. What we're saying is we're going to meet you where you're at. And then through these next 3 courses, we're going to make sure that we get you in there and get you the help you need. Wraparound services, things that we can provide now is legal consulting, technical assistance, application assistance, and then of course the technical assistance, which is really huge. And I want to just stop and talk about this for a second. Technical assistance, what I've seen in the industry, is costing social equity people lots of money, meaning I need someone to help me with my application. I need someone to consult. I need someone to help me with my business plan. So all of these things, business plan, performance, financials, legal, all of that stuff, we will be able now to provide people throughout this next year. Education, of course. I think there's nothing more important than education. I have been a business owner since I was 25, and I will say I'm 38 now. So essentially all my adult career. And no, I've never seen a harder business to navigate than cannabis. And it's because it's regulated, very heavy. And so the regulatory framework makes it very difficult for you to navigate. And then there's the financial strains. So we want to make sure that we close that gap. And that's exactly what this technical assistance and this business accelerator will do. People will come in sometimes and they'll say, well, I want to do an ice cream truck delivery model. Well, hold on. We don't allow for that. So just making sure that people have the proper footprint and the proper pathway to success is going to be something that we focus on heavily. I want to go back one. Target audience. So what DITO wants to see is that we help people that already have a finding of suitability. So this is something that we're doing immediately. If you don't have a finding of suitability, you can reach out to us so we can make sure that we help you prepare the application, make sure you meet the qualifications. I've personally done over like 60 of them myself. So I have a good relationship with MED. They want to make sure that people qualify for the program and that they get through the process correctly. So again, we're going to have a co-working space where if you don't have a meeting place, you can come and use the rooms at the co-working space. So you can have professional meetings in a professional manner. That's really important. Posture in business, how you present yourself, making sure that you're ready when you want to pitch or talk to an investor. These are the things that people look for. So we want to make sure that not only are you prepared with those business skills, but that you also have a place where you feel confident when you're pitching and speaking to investors. Mentorship program, we've been doing this for a long time. Marijuana Industry Group has a mentorship program. And then also the way that our program is set up is that all of the participants in the 10-week course have an opportunity to connect with all of our presenters. So essentially, we have, Vicente Cedarberg, Holland and Hart. I brought my list. But you'll have an opportunity to essentially meet with all these people, talk to them directly, and get one-on-one assistance. Something I'm very excited about because I've been trying to do for a while is the pitch competition. So we will be having a pitch competition for social equity applicants, probably November, December. And that will be one sole winner with a grand prize of $20,000. So that's going to put a little dent in fees or whatever other business expenses folks may have. Graduates. So this just talks about our past, what we've done, and what we plan on doing through the future. Sorry, guys, I'm so parched. Give me 1 second. Okay, better. All right. So when participants leave the course, we want to make sure that they understand cannabis industry at a high level. And we've had over 60 people enrolled, 52 graduates. I'm very proud to say that 14 social equity license holders have come throughout our program. And so that just lets people know that are entering now is that we do have the background, we do have the knowledge, and we do have the experience to help you get to where you need to be. Those licenses consist of 5 transporters, 2 mobile hospitalities, 1 cultivation, and 1 marijuana infused product. All right, so essentially our organization has a proven track record of doing the work. You could not have a better organization on your side to make sure that we provide you with the assistance that you need to be successful. This has been essentially my passion, and I've put my whole entire life into this for the last 3 years. And there's familiar faces, there's new faces, but I'm excited about the opportunities, the possibilities, the partnership with EXL, partnership with DITO, and the partnerships that we're going to make, and the new social equity businesses that we're going to open over the next year. So thank you for your time. Can I take questions?
Yeah.
We're holding them to the end. I'll be back up. Okay, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're really, really excited at Excise to get this program up and running. It's been a long time coming, and we're just super excited to see people start to go through the program. So next, I'm Abby Borchers. I'm a policy analyst with the Department of Excise and Licenses. I've been with the department for about 2.5 years now. But my first day on the job was the first day of the pandemic. So it was when everybody went home. So it's really surreal to be having an in-person meeting like this, but I'm really excited to see a whole bunch of new faces that I haven't met yet, but I'm sure we'll meet eventually or at the end of this meeting. And prior to that, I worked in the industry for about 1.5 years. And prior to that, I worked in the governor's office of marijuana coordination for about 2 years. So I have a bit of a history with marijuana, and I'm really excited to be with the Department of Excise and Licenses, working on some policy updates to our marijuana social equity program. So last year, many of you probably know that we passed 2 major pieces of legislation. One was the marijuana omnibus bill, which created the marijuana social equity program, so exclusivity for most of our licenses for about 6 years for social equity applicants, and then adopted a hospitality program and adopted a marijuana delivery program with exclusivity for social equity applicants to do delivery for 3 years. So we've been mostly focusing on the delivery program in terms of making updates. So I just want to give sort of an overview so that we're all sort of working from the same plane of knowledge about what the delivery program looks like today. So many of you might know all of this already, but for people who don't, in 2021, City Council adopted the marijuana delivery program. We began accepting applications for marijuana delivery permits and transporter licenses in June of 2021. And only social equity transporters with delivery permits are allowed to deliver marijuana until June 1st of 2024. So that's when that exclusivity period expires. And then on July 1st, 2024, and thereafter, stores are allowed to conduct their own deliveries without having to work with a social equity applicant transporter. So this is how it works today. Stores are allowed to contract with a transporter to deliver marijuana to consumers. They can't do their own deliveries, and transporters may deliver marijuana to consumers on behalf of stores pursuant to a contract with the store. Stores have to have a delivery permit to contract with transporters to deliver to consumers, and transporters have to have a delivery permit to contract with stores to deliver to consumers. So both parties have to have the delivery permit. And then stores do not have to qualify as a social equity applicant to get that delivery permit, but all that allows them to do is work with a social equity transporter to do their deliveries. So this is the current state. I also wanted to share some data about our delivery program that we've been collecting over the past 7 months or so. So currently we have 207 stores in Denver, and only 18 of those have delivery permits. So that means that only 18 stores in Denver are permitted to work with a social equity transporter to do deliveries. You can see in the graph on the left-hand side there, or I guess if you're online, it might be on the right-hand side. So we have 14 transporters who have delivery permits, 18 stores with delivery permits, and then only 9 of those 18 stores that have delivery permits are actually conducting deliveries. So we're able to see through metric data that only 9 stores are actually doing delivery. So as you can see, there's an imbalance between the number of transporters and the number of stores that they are able to partner with. So there's a shortage of stores to be able to partner with. There's only 8% who are permitted to do delivery, and even less that are actually doing it. We also want to look at other jurisdictions that have delivery programs as a comparison. Aurora has a cap of 24 stores, so they have quite a few less stores than we do, but we can still look to them as a comparison. They also have a delivery program, and they also license transporters. So in Aurora, stores can do their own deliveries to consumers, or they can partner with a social equity transporter to do their deliveries, but they're not required to partner with a transporter. As you can see in Aurora, the uptake for delivery permits has been a lot more. So compared to Denver, where we have only 8% of stores that have gotten delivery permits, in Aurora, 79% of stores have gotten delivery permits. So 19 of their 24 stores have delivery permits and are doing deliveries to customers. The main difference between Aurora and Denver's delivery programs is that in Denver, stores have to work with a transporter to do deliveries, and in Aurora, they do not. Some more data about Denver's delivery program. I'm sorry if this is a little hard to see if these numbers are small, but I'll give you the gist of it. So we have been looking at data back until October of 2021, which was when deliveries sort of started to take off in Denver. So you can see around December of 21, we have about 1,600 deliveries total for that month across all the stores and transporters that have permits. That number has remained less than 2,000 deliveries a month, well, less than 1,800 deliveries a month consistently. So from December to June of 22, we're looking at less than 1,800 deliveries a month. You can also see the average monthly deliveries per store. 13 stores are doing between 0 and 50 deliveries per month. 2 are doing between 51 and 100. And then 3 stores of the 9 that are doing delivery, and this will be more stores than are currently doing delivery because this accounts for stores that were doing delivery. They might have stopped, stores may have started. So it's not going to add up to 9 is the point. But there's 3 stores that have consistently been doing more than 250 deliveries per month. So what that tells us is there's only 3 stores that are doing a large amount of deliveries. Most stores that are doing deliveries are doing less than 50.
Someone just texted me and said that they're on the ready.
Does someone want to, in the virtual waiting room or out there? Oh, okay. Sorry, these hybrid meetings are challenging. There shouldn't be a waiting room.
Yeah, there's no way to do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And then delivery consistently accounts for less than 0.5% of all marijuana sales in Denver. So the point of this data being, I think the takeaway is there has not been a great amount of participation from stores in delivery, and transporters rely on participation from stores to make their businesses succeed, because without stores to supply the product, transporters have nothing to deliver. And that's why we're proposing some changes. Excise and Licenses has put together a proposal to bring to City Council that would do 3 things. So the first is it would remove that July 1st, 2024 sunset of the exclusivity period for delivery for transporters, and it would make it permanent for transporters. So stores would not be able to do their own deliveries in Denver at any point. They would have to work with a social equity transporter. The second thing is we are planning to significantly reduce license fees for social equity transporters. We hope that this will provide needed financial relief to existing small social equity transporter businesses and reduce a barrier to entry for new transporter businesses. And then the third is we're planning to significantly reduce marijuana delivery permit fees for both the stores and the transporters. So we're hoping again that this will provide needed financial relief to existing transporter businesses and also reduce a barrier to entry into delivery for both stores and transporters. So I want to just go through in more detail what those fee reductions and adjustments would look like. For marijuana delivery permits in that blue chart at the top, there would be the application fee for stores would be reduced from $500 to $25. The license fee for stores would be reduced from $2,000 to $25. And then for social equity transporters, there would be an application fee of $25. It's currently $0. And then the license fee for social equity transporters would be reduced from $2,000 to $25. We would also be adding a new fee. This is something that we realized that we needed As delivery companies are adding delivery vehicles, we have to inspect each one of those vehicles. And so that costs city time and resources. So every time you add a new delivery vehicle to your fleet or you change one out, you'll have to submit a form to us, get it inspected. And then that's the way the process works now, but we don't charge a fee for it. You would have to pay a $25 fee to add a vehicle. And then for the license fees for transporter licenses, in the green chart on the bottom there, for medical marijuana transporter licenses, the application fee remains $0. And then the annual license fee is being reduced from $1,500 to $200. And we're waiving that upon initial application. So it would cost $0 to apply for a new medical marijuana transporter license and $200 to renew it. For the retail, there's no application fee. Currently, we're not adding one. And then the license fee would be reduced from $2,500 to $200, and again, waived on initial application. So it would cost you $0 to apply for a new retail marijuana transporter license and $200 to renew it. So next steps for this proposal, throughout the month of July, even though July is approaching the end, but July and August, we're planning to continue to collect stakeholder feedback. If you have written comments or any written feedback you'd like to submit, we'd love to hear it. You can send it to marijuanainfo@denvergov.org. And then we're also happy to meet with you if you have thoughts that you want to share. You can reach out to, again, marijuanainfo@denvergov.org. I'll read it. I read every comment that comes in, and I'll respond to your meeting request. And then throughout August and September, we're hoping to get through the city council process as quickly as we can. We'll send out updates about that process through our marijuana information bulletins. If you're not signed up, I would suggest signing up just so that you can find out when we're going to be at our committee hearing, when we're going to be at the full city council, and find out how you can participate in that process. And then we're hoping by the fall we can implement these changes. So our hope is to get it done as quickly as possible. Okay. I'm going to open up the floor for questions. The way it's going to work is this is a hybrid meeting, so it's a little different. We're going to do kind of a one-on-one thing. So one question from the audience and then one question from anyone who's online. And then if we have written Q&As, Shannon will read them. So we'll kind of just bounce back and forth. The people in the audience on our webinar would love to hear what you all have to say here in the room. So if you can just speak up, and it really helps if you stand up and really project when you say something so that my computer can pick up the sound and the people in the audience will hear you. Anything else housekeeping wise? Okay. No? Okay, great. And so feel free to ask questions about Sarah's program, about our proposal, anything else that might be on your mind. So let's start with Bia.
Hi, I'm focusing on different strategies. On the proposal, you said that you're going to propose to terminate that July 1st, 2024 date for the transporter license for the delivery permits. Are you also going to do the same for the transporter license and the fact that only social active people can get transporters? So we're getting rid of the double date for both the transporter and the delivery permit?
So only transporters will be able to apply for, or only social equity applicants will be able to apply for transporter licenses. That will continue to be the case until 2027.
Yeah, that date will remain.
The 2027 date?
Yeah.
That date is staying the same.
Okay.
Bia asked if we were removing the end date for the exclusivity period for social equity applicants to qualify for transporter licenses. And the answer is no, only social equity applicants can qualify for transporter licenses until July 1st of 2027. And that's true for most of our other licenses. So we're not changing anything about the exclusivity for all of our licenses. Do you want to do an online?
Yeah, there's not many that are like targeted specific.
That's fine.
Okay.
If you want to ask a question and you're in the audience online, you can use the raise hand feature. And we can promote you to a panelist, so you can be on video and you can speak and ask your question, or you can just type it in the Q&A box.
Great. So one question we have is, would it be possible to curate / provide a list of licensed and operational social equity licensees? I am thinking that it could be helpful to connect current stakeholders with a kind of preferred vendor list to promote social equity engagement across the board.
That's a great question.
Is
That can be found on the Nets website. There's like a list of all the transporters on there, so.
And same with our delivery and transporter licensee, right, that dashboard, Abby?
So we have a public dashboard of transporters that have delivery permits and stores that have delivery permits, so they can connect. But I think the question is maybe broader than that. A list of all social equity applicant businesses that are up and running. And that's an interesting idea. I think we can explore that further and make it something that's easy to access. Logan?
Hi, Logan, real estate compliance consultant and instructor at Community College of Denver. How many questions am I allowed to ask?
How many do you have?
So first off, modifications of premise. We've been getting a lot of pushback on that, specifically about the zoning permits. It looks like there's a confusion between 3 different departments, actually 4 different departments, with fire, addressing, zoning, and excise and license. Several of these modifications of premise do need these zoning permits updated, but it seems like there's a conflict with the way that fire wants zoning permits to identify an emergency response situation. And I guess excise and policy has had some new policy or some new direction with what they need for a zoning permit that's pretty unclear. Is there a way that we can get some clarity on exactly what the zoning permits for future businesses or future modifications would be?
So the question was a request for some clarity around what's required in terms of zoning permits for modifications of premises.
Yeah, so I'm actually working with the zoning department and fire and building to kind of talk about what specifically our cannabis applicants need. So maybe we can connect offline on the change that you heard of, but I do believe that zoning is working to get all addresses updated on their permits. And so that might be what you're talking about, but that is one goal of mine, is to really help with interagency communication and create some better foundation for our applicants who are applying, so they understand what they would be coming up against. In terms of a modification of premise, I'm not sure about what the change internally for EXL would have been, but I know we're looking at different ways to submit a modification of premise depending on what modifications you're doing inside your building.
Yeah, I know a lot of operators who have already had approved zoning permits have to go back through this whole process, because now the way it's worded is no longer accepted.
Okay.
Hey, Logan, real quick, since you have 5 questions.
I'll just eliminate the 2.
Okay, are they related to the content from today? So let's get through the content from today, and if we have extra time at the end, we'll come back to you for questions. And we do want to start holding these more regularly again, so that kind of stuff is really helpful feedback to us, especially when there's confusion and there's a change that's not really a change. And so we'll come back to those, but let's get through what we have to address questions from today first.
So anybody online?
Nothing new, no.
Oh, okay.
In the room, anybody have a question in here?
Michael Diaz-Rivera. First, can we get a round of applause for all the work that you all have put into this? And I guess my question is, how can we all support you all best as we start this timeline? Because I'd like to see this happen.
That's a great question. First of all, you were here today, which is a great first step. I think first, providing any feedback you might have, if you have any thoughts about the proposal or you want to see something different or anything like that, we're open to that feedback. And we're going to continue sort of refining this proposal, and then we're going to take it to City Council. So the first step will be going before the Finance and Governance Committee. And we'll be sending out information through our bulletin about how to participate in that. So how to attend that meeting. Do they take comment? Okay, so there's an opportunity for comment at that committee meeting. That's a great place to show your support if you would like to, or express your opinion on the proposal. Another great way is to contact your city council person. You can either contact the city council person for the district that you live in or that your business operates in, or you can contact either of the at-large council members and express your thoughts on the proposal. Anything else, Erica?
No, if you need help with any of that, let us know.
Yeah.
We can certainly-
And I would just say we have a sense of urgency too, to get it through. We have 6 transporters that are coming up for renewal in August. We're probably not going to get it done by then. Well, we're not going to be able to get it done by then, but we will work as quickly as possible. We want to make sure we take your feedback and incorporate it, but we want to move quickly too.
Anything else?
Any questions for Sarah about her program?
My name is Samuel Giles from CB1 Logistics. I did have a question for you, Sarah. You mentioned the application window is now closed. Are there future cohorts and what are the timelines for the future cohorts?
So the question, just for the people in the audience, the question was, the application for the first cohort of the Color of Cannabis program has closed, but will there be future cohorts? And what's the deadline for those?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're going to open applications back up towards the end of August. And then the first cohort is going to be the second cohort will be starting in November.
Okay. So applications will open up again towards the end of August, and then the next cohort will start in November. Logan?
This is a question related to cannabis in your education program. Are you going to be offering GMP instruction for future?
Tell me what exactly GMP instruction is.
Manufacturing practices.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Cannabis note that we're actually going to have more compliance.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we're working on with someone that is essentially participating in our program through like an accelerator type thing is manufacturing. So we're planning on starting an incubator program through this 10-week course. So yeah, we'll be working on that as well.
So the question was, will the Color of Cannabis course offer information on good manufacturing practices? And the answer was yes, in short.
Yes, and in addition, 1906 is who does that with us right now. And so all of the applicants tour their facility, get an in-depth 2-hour presentation on all of that. But what we want to do is get people licensed through manufacturing. So that's where we're going to take it a step forward now that we have the city contract and create an incubator program. Okay.
We did have another question online. My question is, what is the city doing to help or change zoning for me as a social equity applicant to find located zone for a consumption lounge?
So excise and licenses can't change zoning. That's the Department of Zoning. But we can, if you reach out, we can provide contact information for the zoning department if you have questions about that. Oh, I guess that wouldn't just be zoning. It would be like proximity requirements as well. So actually, I'll let Shannon talk about this because she's been working really hard on it, but we're developing a tool that we're hoping will help people find locations more easily.
One thing that we're working on is just that. It's a public facing proximity tool, which will separate licenses from store, cultivation, marijuana, hospitality with sales, and hospitality. And it will actually show within this tool what the disqualifying proximity pieces could be for your license type based on the address that you're using. And so this will tell specifically if we're talking about marijuana hospitality, it'll tell you if there's any schools, drug treatment centers, or childcare, but then also show you where the other license types of that are. So it'll show you where you can actually apply for your licensed business. You can always apply for a licensed business if you do have a proximity restriction. And then if we end up denying it, you can go through appeal. But we really do feel like this non-binding proximity public facing tool will really help kind of get rid of some of the barriers that it is to find a cannabis license. We know that some of our licensed realtors in the state already have one of these tools that they've developed on their own, but working with a commercial real estate agent can cost money. And so by developing this internally, we can actually help our social equity applicants with those barriers and finding a location. And right now we're currently testing that tool. So we hope to launch it in the fall.
Bia?
I'm sorry, example, some different strategies. Another question that I would have is related to how do you see this business policy being impacted by the big 25% downfall of the marijuana sales in the city? And we think that the proposed new taxes that are coming from the ballot in 2020 will impact that. And if we're thinking about this policy correlation to that, and with the probable down sale that would occur from those taxes. Thank you.
So the question was how we think sort of the fall in marijuana sales and the related fall in tax revenue will impact the proposal for extending the delivery exclusivity permanently. I think that's part of the reason why we want to do it, is because we're sort of heading into this economic downturn, and we want to give transporters more time to get their businesses off the ground, and we want to give them certainty, right? So if they're looking at, if I have to get my business off the ground before July 1st of 2024, before stores can come in and start doing their own deliveries, especially as the economy is doing what it's doing and sales are declining and things are, uncertain in the market, I think we want to give transporters the certainty that they're going to have the ability to do deliveries on behalf of stores permanently and not have to worry about that deadline.
I also will just add that I think, the delivery is an opportunity to grow your business. And so working with a social equity transporter is a great opportunity to bring together two important values that we've all reiterated over the last couple of years around social equity and access and through delivery. So to me, this is a great opportunity to respond to some of the trends that we're seeing within the market and open up more opportunities through delivery. I think I said Jarrell, unless there's an online question. No, Jarrell?
Hey, what's going on? Jarrell Wall, Gentleman Clinics LLC. First off, I definitely appreciate the work you guys did with adding this proposal for potentially going to the city council. My general question is kind of overarching about the city council process. What additional things do you guys bring into the fold to city council? I know you guys have spoke on the restrictions when it comes to zoning. When it comes to the industry outside of finance, and it's going to be buffer zones and advertisement. And I saw the article that the city council was looking at some of the restrictions to be pulled back in Denver, as the state of Colorado has less than some. Are you guys pushing for some of those restrictions? And those buffer zones, 1,000 feet restrictions are kind of really stymieing additional businesses being open.
So right now, this proposal is narrowly crafted. It's focusing on delivery and social equity transporters only. I think we still have, time to learn about if there are any other necessary changes based on the bills that were passed about a year ago. But we do actually see that there are locations available. So we've run proximity checks, the proximity checks Abby was just talking about. We've, of the ones that people have asked us about, we've identified over 200 of those that were eligible. And so working with that property owner then to identify if that's a place that they want to have a marijuana business and if it's the right location for that type of business. I think those are other challenges that are out there, but we do think there are locations available, especially when you talk about hospitality, because there are less proximity restrictions for hospitality than there are for stores. So right now, it's just this proposal. I think we'll keep we always try to be nimble and responsive and take feedback. And so if there's something we need to keep looking at, we are committed to doing that. But we also continue to place a high value in those proximity restrictions and the protections they provide for youth. Advertising, we made a couple of changes in the omnibus bill about a year ago on those as well. And so I think, again, there's just more time for us to take feedback on those. But right now, we haven't identified any changes. It's, Dwayne. You're okay, Dwayne?
Nothing online? Okay.
I could ask another one.
Sure.
Michael Diaz-Rivera with Better Days Delivery. And thinking of proposed changes, do you think there will be any chance of us potentially changing the ability to deliver to hotels, et cetera? And maybe even being able to deliver for MIPS or straight from the cultivator, farm to blend?
So those restrictions are in state law, so it's not, we're not able to change those restrictions here at the city. We can only make laws that are stricter than state law, and so we can't broaden the state law, if that makes sense. So that would be a change that would have to take place at the state level.
I had a question about, I've been working with a lot of different businesses in a couple of years with selling programs. Has it been your thought to have more benefits to working so?
As part of the accelerator program, yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. It's something, so the question was, has there been any thought to giving more incentives for businesses to accelerate social equity businesses? Okay. I think that's a great question. It's something that we've been thinking a lot about. The accelerator program is a state program. So the Marijuana Enforcement Division determines what those incentives will be, and the Cannabis Business Office is also able to create incentives for being an accelerator endorsed licensee and accelerating those social equity accelerator businesses. But it's something that we want to look at as well, and we want to look sort of more broadly outside the accelerator program that's formally established at the state, and just look more to our existing industry and how they can support social equity applicants.
And one thing I've been working on is talking to our stakeholders and seeing what those opportunities could be. So I'm definitely open to have conversations of where we see maybe our existing licensees have ability to impact social equity entrepreneurs, businesses in their lives. And then also on the other side, in terms of our social equity applicants, what are they looking for outside of technical assistance and outside of that accelerator program? So I'm definitely open to have those conversations and kind of focusing on what we can do here in Denver.
Yeah, because my experience within the industry is coming with social equity, the industries are so saturated in the United States, just not for stores, but shelf space for products, things like that, where, you know, have more devoted shelf space for these products, and partnerships and things like that.
Yeah, I think we're identifying ways to help the social equity applicants outside of just that accelerator relationship and just the business license relationship. So ideating what that could be. And so I'm definitely open to have those conversations, and I'd love to hear from both sides of the table. Yeah.
Thanks for all the great questions. We have 5 minutes left.
You want to throw one more in, Logan?
Yeah. Hit us with them.
So with the recent state change in work group regarding camp, what is Denver looking at forming a camp work group that would also identify and review CBD products, a lot of the toxicities that have been at retail stores, gas stations, etc. And then we really need to get this under control.
So the Denver Department of Public Health is a member of the state's, what's it called? The Senate Bill 22205 Task Force. And so they're representing the city on that work group, but we're attending the meetings and watching them closely. And I think we'd like to see what recommendations come out of that task force before we look at doing anything here locally.
Thank you.
Okay,
Well, thanks, everybody. It was great to see you. Have a full room. We'll stick around if anybody has any other questions. This will be online. And you'll be getting follow-up information on what's next.